Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve everything they want, while others struggle endlessly, no matter how hard they try? Think about it for a moment. What is the difference between those who reach their dreams and those who never even get close? The answer is not luck. It is not resources, talent, or opportunities. The difference is something far more powerful, something invisible yet unstoppable: the way they train their mind. Your mind is the single most powerful tool you will ever own. It is capable of creating worlds, achieving the impossible, and turning dreams into reality. Yet so many people leave it untamed, untrained, and underutilized, allowing doubt, fear, and hesitation to rule their lives. Imagine for a moment what your life would look like if your mind became your strongest ally. If every thought you had was aligned with your goals. If fear could no longer control your decisions. What could you achieve then? The truth is, your mind does not care about your past. It does not judge your failures. It is a blank canvas, waiting for you to paint the life you desire. And the exciting part is, this power is already within you. It is not something you need to find outside. It is not hidden in a book, a course, or a mentor. It is already inside, right now, waiting for you to unlock it. Many people live as if they are powerless, believing that circumstances and other people dictate what they can or cannot do. But every success story in history, every achievement that once seemed impossible, began with a single thought. A thought that refused to give up, a vision that refused to fade, a belief that said, "I can and I will." And that is the secret that most people overlook. They underestimate the power of a trained mind. A mind that is focused, disciplined, and determined is unstoppable. It can overcome obstacles, ignore distractions, and create opportunities where none seem to exist. The fascinating thing about the human mind is that it responds to what you feed it. If you feed it fear, doubt, and worry, it will create a world full of obstacles and setbacks. But if you feed it belief, courage, and vision, it will create a world full of opportunities and achievements. Your thoughts are not just fleeting moments. They are the architects of your destiny. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every dream you pursue begins with the way you think. And that is why training your mind is not optional. It is essential. Now, let's be honest. Training the mind is not easy. It requires effort, patience, and consistency. The mind is like a muscle. If you never exercise it, it grows weak. If you feed it distractions and negative influences, it becomes lost and restless. But the moment you commit to training it, amazing things start to happen. You begin to see solutions instead of problems. You notice opportunities instead of obstacles. You develop resilience instead of giving in to fear. And the best part? You start to feel in control of your life because a trained mind takes charge. It does not wait for luck, timing, or circumstances to align. Think about the people you admire most in life, those who have achieved incredible things. Do you think they got there by chance? No. They got there because they trained their mind to see what others could not see, to believe what others would not believe, and to act when others hesitated. They mastered the inner game before winning the outer game. And you can do the same. You have the same capacity, the same power, and the same potential. The only difference is the decision to start, the commitment to train your mind, and the courage to stay consistent, even when it feels hard. By the end of this video, you will understand the exact ways to train your mind to achieve anything you desire. You will learn how to silence self-doubt, how to turn your imagination into reality, and how to build a mental strength that cannot be shaken by fear or failure. If you stay with this video until the end, you will walk away with tools that can literally change the trajectory of your life. Imagine looking back 6 months from now and realizing that the one decision you made today, to commit to training your mind, was the turning point that transformed your dreams into achievements. But for now, take a deep breath and let this sink in. Your mind is your most valuable asset. Every thought you allow, every belief you nurture, every habit you practice shapes the life you will live. And here is the truth that most people never understand. Your mind is more powerful than any obstacle, more creative than any problem, and more capable than any circumstance. The moment you realize this, your entire world begins to shift. You stop waiting for permission to succeed. You stop looking for external validation. You start taking ownership of your thoughts, your actions, and your results. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop letting your mind control you? Are you ready to take the reins and use it as the tool it was meant to be? Are you ready to become unstoppable, to see opportunities where others see dead ends, to push through fear and doubt, and to finally achieve what you've always dreamed of? If the answer is yes, then stay with this video. Stay with every word, every idea, and every insight. Because what you are about to learn will give your mind the power to create your reality, shape your destiny, and achieve anything you desire. Remember this: the greatest journeys, the highest achievements, and the most extraordinary lives all begin with a trained mind. And the moment you decide to start training yours, nothing will ever be the same again. Your mind is not just a tool, it is the foundation of everything you create in life. Every action, every choice, and every achievement is born from it. But most people underestimate this truth. They focus on external strategies, tips, and shortcuts, thinking that success comes from outside. Yet the outer world is only a reflection of the inner world. If your mind is cluttered with fear, confusion, or hesitation, no amount of external effort will produce lasting results. To achieve anything you desire, the first step is to understand how your mind works and why it is so capable of shaping your reality. Consider this: your thoughts are not random. They follow patterns, and those patterns dictate your habits, your reactions, and ultimately, your life. Every day, you are either reinforcing limitations or building strength. If you allow negative thinking to dominate, it quietly controls your behavior. You start avoiding risks, doubting your abilities, and settling for mediocrity. But if you intentionally guide your thoughts, training them to focus on possibility, opportunity, and action, your mind becomes your greatest ally. It starts working for you instead of against you, and suddenly, challenges become stepping stones instead of roadblocks. The power of the mind is extraordinary because it is both the source and the solution. You are capable of imagining things that don't yet exist. You can create visions so vivid that your brain begins to treat them as reality. Every major invention, every record-breaking achievement, and every personal transformation started with a single idea, nurtured, believed in, and acted upon. But here is the key: imagination alone is not enough. The mind must be trained to stay focused, to refuse distractions, and to resist the pull of negativity. Only then can thoughts transform into actions, and actions into results. When you understand this, you start seeing obstacles differently. What once seemed impossible now looks like a challenge that can be solved. Problems become puzzles, and every setback becomes a lesson that strengthens your mental muscles. This is why mindset is everything. Talent, luck, and opportunity will never matter as much as your ability to think clearly, stay positive, and keep moving forward no matter what. A trained mind does not panic when things go wrong. It does not freeze under pressure. Instead, it adapts, finds solutions, and creates the path forward. Many people fail not because they lack resources, but because their mind is misaligned. They are focused on what they cannot do, what might go wrong, and what they fear losing. This mindset produces hesitation, procrastination, and missed opportunities. But when you shift your focus, everything changes. By deliberately training your mind to focus on what is possible, to visualize success, and to take consistent action, you unlock a new level of potential. Your brain becomes a magnet for solutions, and your actions become unstoppable. Training your mind is not about forcing it to be positive all the time. It's about understanding how it works, guiding it, and shaping it in a direction that serves your goals. Start by noticing your thoughts. Are they helping you, or are they holding you back? Are you telling yourself, I can't, or are you reminding yourself, I will find a way? Awareness is the first step toward mastery. Once you are aware of your thought patterns, you can start replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Every small adjustment creates momentum. Every decision to focus on possibility strengthens your mental resilience. Another crucial aspect is clarity. A mind that is scattered cannot achieve greatness. When you know exactly what you want, your brain begins to organize resources, ideas, and actions to reach that goal. Lack of clarity leads to wasted energy and confusion, but clarity produces confidence. When you see your path clearly, the mind stops resisting. It stops creating excuses. It starts moving forward with purpose. And when combined with discipline, focus, and determination, clarity becomes the engine that drives success. The psychology behind motivation shows that the mind responds to repetition and reinforcement. Every time you feed it with encouraging thoughts, affirmations, or visions of success, it strengthens neural pathways that support growth and achievement. Conversely, repeated exposure to doubt, fear, and negativity reinforces patterns of limitation. This is why training your mind daily is not optional. It is essential. Small, consistent efforts to shape your thoughts compound over time, creating unstoppable mental strength that becomes automatic. Finally, the mind thrives on action. Thoughts alone are not enough. Visualization, planning, and positive thinking work best when paired with deliberate action. Every step you take, no matter how small, tells your brain that your goal is real. Your mind begins to align with your efforts, and what once seemed distant suddenly becomes achievable. Action teaches the mind confidence, reinforces focus, and eliminates doubt. This is why successful people never wait for perfect conditions. They start now, using their mind as the engine that drives every decision, every effort, and every victory. So ask yourself, how trained is your mind? Are you feeding it distractions, negativity, and hesitation? Or are you deliberately shaping it to create your dreams? Remember, the mind is neutral. It will follow your lead. If you do not guide it, it will drift, influenced by fear, doubt, and the opinions of others. But the moment you take control, the mind becomes unstoppable. It starts attracting opportunities, building resilience, and turning ideas into reality. The power to achieve anything you desire is already within you. The only question is, will you commit to training it? Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract success effortlessly, while others struggle even when they try their hardest? This is not luck. It is not talent. It is belief. The mind does not just respond to effort. It responds to what you truly believe about yourself. Belief is the invisible force that shapes your reality. Without it, even the most consistent actions can fall short. But with belief, the smallest effort can create results that seem impossible. Belief is the spark that turns thoughts into action, dreams into plans, and plans into reality. It is the engine that drives progress when everything else seems uncertain. Belief begins with trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your abilities, and trust in the process. When you trust that you are capable, your brain starts to look for ways to prove it true. It searches for solutions, notices opportunities, and takes risks that would have seemed terrifying before. On the other hand, when you doubt yourself, every challenge feels like a wall, every risk feels dangerous, and every setback becomes a confirmation of your fears. This is why learning to strengthen belief is not just important, it is essential. Belief fuels courage, shapes decisions, and ultimately determines the results you get from the actions you take. The mind loves patterns. If you repeatedly tell yourself that success is possible, your brain begins to accept it as reality. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you are not good enough, the brain begins to find evidence to support it. This is the power of belief. It is self-fulfilling. The good news is that belief is not fixed. It can be developed, strengthened, and expanded. Every time you choose to focus on what is possible, to imagine yourself succeeding, and to act as if you are already capable, you are rewiring your mind. You are training it to see potential where others see limits. Many people wait for circumstances to prove them worthy. They believe that confidence comes from success, that courage comes from security, and that belief comes from results. But this is backward. True belief is what creates results. Confidence follows action, courage follows choice, and achievement follows faith in your abilities. When you act with belief, even before the results appear, your mind begins to gather the resources and ideas needed to make your actions successful. Belief is the precursor to every victory, every breakthrough, and every dream realized. Imagine your mind as a garden. Belief is the sunlight that nurtures growth. Doubt is the weeds that choke potential. You have the power to decide which one you feed. If you choose sunlight, every thought, every action, and every decision becomes fertile ground for success. If you allow weeds to take over, the garden becomes overrun with hesitation, fear, and missed opportunities. This is why belief must be consciously cultivated. It does not grow by accident. It grows when you actively reinforce it through visualization, affirmations, and deliberate action. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen belief is through repetition. The mind cannot tell the difference between what is imagined vividly and what is real. When you consistently see yourself succeeding in your mind, your brain begins to accept it as inevitable. You start acting in ways that align with that vision. Opportunities that once went unnoticed now stand out. Problems that seemed insurmountable now seem solvable. Your confidence grows, not because circumstances have changed, but because your mind has changed. Belief reshapes perception, and perception drives action. Belief also protects you from the influence of fear. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, but it becomes dangerous when it controls your decisions. Every great accomplishment in history was achieved by someone who refused to let fear dictate their choices. They acted because they believed in themselves more than they feared failure. You, too, can cultivate this mindset. By consciously focusing on what you want, by reminding yourself of past successes, and by visualizing the life you desire, you create a mental shield that allows courage to flourish. Another critical aspect of belief is expectation. When you expect positive outcomes, your mind organizes itself to deliver them. Your attention, energy, and actions naturally align with success. This is why visualization and mental rehearsal are so effective. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. By imagining your achievements, you are preparing your brain to take the necessary steps to make them happen. You are creating a mental blueprint, and your actions follow the plan automatically. Belief is also contagious, but in this case, it starts with yourself. The energy you give your mind influences everything you do. When you carry unwavering belief, you attract the people, opportunities, and resources needed to achieve your goals. Others respond to your conviction, and doors that once seemed closed begin to open. Conversely, self-doubt repels possibilities and clouds judgment. This is why protecting and nurturing belief is one of the most important decisions you will ever make. Ask yourself, what would you attempt if you truly believed you could not fail? What risks would you take? What challenges would you face? And what dreams would you pursue? The answers to these questions reveal your untapped potential. Belief is the bridge between who you are now and who you can become. It is the invisible force that propels ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. When you strengthen it, you stop waiting for permission, for luck, or for perfect timing. You take control of your life because you know deep down that your mind can find a way to achieve whatever you desire. Belief is not a vague idea, it is a practical tool. Every time you act with it, you reinforce it. Every time you face a challenge and refuse to back down, your belief grows stronger. Every time you visualize success, your mind becomes more capable. The more you nurture it, the more unstoppable it becomes. Your thoughts, your energy, and your actions all begin to align, creating a momentum that carries you toward your goals. This is the power that separates dreamers from achievers. So take a moment to reflect. How strong is your belief today? Are you letting hesitation and doubt dictate your choices, or are you committing to trust yourself, trust your mind, and trust your potential? The path to achieving anything you desire starts here. Belief is the fuel, the compass, and the anchor. Strengthen it, protect it, and act upon it every day. The life you imagine is not just a dream. It is waiting for your mind to decide it is possible. And the moment you fully embrace that truth, there is no limit to what you can accomplish. Have you ever felt trapped by your own thoughts? Like no matter what you do, something inside is holding you back. That something is often the mental barrier we create without even realizing it. These invisible walls exist in every mind. They are shaped by fear, doubt, past failures, and the opinions of others. They tell you what you cannot do, what you should avoid, and what is impossible. Yet, the greatest achievements in life are made by those who refuse to accept these limits. They see barriers not as the end, but as challenges to overcome, as signals that growth is waiting on the other side. The first step in breaking mental barriers is recognizing them. You cannot remove what you cannot see. Every time you hesitate, procrastinate, or feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this a real obstacle or a barrier my mind has created? Often, what we perceive as impossibilities are simply fears dressed up as facts. When you identify these false limits, you gain clarity. You understand that most of what holds you back is internal, not external. Once this awareness takes hold, the mind begins to shift from limitation to possibility. Mental barriers are reinforced by self-talk. The words you repeat to yourself shape your confidence, your choices, and your results. I can't handle this. I'm not good enough. Or, I'll never succeed, are not just thoughts. They are commands to your brain that solidify obstacles. But words like, I will figure this out, I am capable, and I can overcome this are equally powerful. They train your mind to seek solutions rather than dwell on problems. Changing your internal dialogue is one of the fastest ways to weaken barriers and strengthen belief in your own ability to succeed. One of the most effective ways to break mental barriers is to challenge them directly. Every time you do something that scares you, your brain learns that fear is not a stop sign. It is a guide. It signals that growth is occurring. The moment you step past hesitation, your confidence grows, and barriers start to crumble. Success does not come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from leaning into it. Challenges are not your enemies. They are opportunities for your mind to expand beyond its current limits. Another factor that strengthens mental barriers is the habit of comparison. When you constantly measure yourself against others, you allow external standards to define your limits. You begin to doubt what you are capable of achieving. But true growth comes from focusing on your own path. Every person has unique strengths, experiences, and potential. Your progress should be measured against your own previous self, not the achievements of someone else. The moment you stop comparing, your mind becomes free to reach heights you never imagined. Mental barriers are also reinforced by comfort zones. Staying in familiar patterns feels safe, but safety is the enemy of progress. Every time you push beyond routine, try something new, or face uncertainty, you stretch your mind's capacity. Growth requires discomfort. The stronger your mind becomes, the more it embraces challenge rather than avoiding it. What once seemed risky becomes manageable, and what once felt impossible begins to feel achievable. It is important to understand that breaking mental barriers is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. The mind is constantly influenced by new experiences, thoughts, and habits. Without conscious effort, old patterns return. This is why consistent action is crucial. Daily practices such as setting clear goals, affirming your potential, visualizing success, and taking small steps toward challenges gradually weaken barriers. Over time, these small shifts create a mindset that sees obstacles as temporary and solvable rather than permanent and limiting. Fear of failure is one of the strongest mental barriers. Many people stop short of pursuing their dreams because they fear what might happen if they fail. But failure is not an endpoint, it is a teacher. Every failure carries lessons that cannot be learned any other way. The mind that learns from failure becomes resilient, adaptable, and creative. It stops seeing setbacks as proof of limitation and starts seeing them as evidence of growth. Embracing failure as part of the process is one of the most powerful tools for breaking mental barriers. Mental barriers are not only formed by fear and doubt, they are also reinforced by past experiences. Every disappointment, every rejection, and every mistake can leave a mark. But the past only has power if you allow it to define your present. Your mind is not stuck in history. It is capable of learning, adapting, and creating new paths forward. By consciously letting go of past limitations, forgiving yourself for mistakes, and focusing on possibilities, you free your mind to act without restriction. Finally, the most important principle in overcoming mental barriers is action. Knowledge, strategy, and planning are important, but they are useless without movement. Every step you take, no matter how small, weakens the chains that hold your mind back. Action proves to your brain that limitations are temporary and that progress is possible. Momentum is built not by thinking endlessly about what you cannot do, but by doing what you can, consistently, every day. Ask yourself, what walls are holding you back today? Which fears are imaginary and which doubts are unnecessary? The path to achieving anything you desire begins when you decide to confront these barriers head-on. Every step forward, every challenge faced, every action taken chips away at the walls your mind has built. And the more you act, the stronger your belief becomes, the clearer your path becomes, and the closer your dreams come into reach. Breaking mental barriers is not just about achieving goals. It is about expanding your mind to see new possibilities, feel new confidence, and realize your potential in ways you never imagined. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to grow. Each fear is a signal to move forward, and each barrier is proof that you are ready to rise above limitations. The mind that refuses to accept boundaries is unstoppable. It creates its own rules, finds its own paths, and achieves what others say is impossible. Remember, the moment you decide that no mental barrier can hold you back, your life changes forever. You begin to see possibilities where others see dead ends. You start to move with courage when others hesitate. You discover a strength inside yourself that was always there but hidden by doubt. The walls you once feared dissolve, and the life you have imagined becomes possible.